Hello guys, I'm back with yet another lead code problem. Today we are going to solve another recursive problem and lead code has this, it's a dynamic programming kind of problem. So let's look into it. So the question is generate parenthesis, the 22nd question. So what we have to do is they'll give a value of n, and n is nothing but the number of brackets like opening and closing included in the given string. So we have to find all the combinations of this parenthesis. But and one more catch here is that we need to make sure that all these parentheses are valid, such that like you can't have an opening, you can't have a closing before opening, like number of opening is should be equal to closing, such kind of things, such kind of conditions are there. So generate, so we need to write a function, a recursive function which can generate all these parentheses. So we'll try and understand the recursion tree right now. So let's consider n is equal to 3. In this condition n is equal to 3, so we can't start with initially we can't start with the closing bracket. We have to obviously start with the opening bracket. So if we start with the opening bracket here, we have two decisions which we can take after opening the bracket. So we can either close it, we can have a closing, or we can have a opening bracket here. And then after that, in this tree here we have a this bracket is there. So we have two options here. We can either we can open another bracket, or we cannot close it, because the number of in every situation the number of opening brackets should be greater than the number of closing brackets, like in between this whole process. In the ending they can be equal. So here you can see we can't close it. It's not a valid it's not a valid parenthesis anymore. So now here we have to end the tree here, but here we can continue. So here we can close it or we can open it, and so we can go on to the last step. So up to the last step you can see we have different decisions. So you guys can find a common trend in this. So in this, the common thing is that the common thing you can see here is that, wait a minute, the common you can see one common thing: the number of open brackets are always less than the number of closing brackets. I mean, the number of opening brackets at a given situation are more than the number of closing. This condition is always should be satisfied to get the right answer. So we can have so as you can see that in the recursion tree the functions are there here. So our arguments, the parameters of the helper function should be such that we have an output. So the answer is recommended in a list of strings. So we need to have a list of strings here. So this output is nothing but the list which will have the strings in it. This temp is nothing but the strings, each string which is being added, the characters are being added to the string. And open keeps a track of the number of opening brackets and the number of closing brackets. The main reason we are keeping a track of the number of opening and the number of closing brackets is to make sure that this condition is always satisfied. So the number of opening brackets should be greater than the number of closing brackets at any given point in the recursion tree. So as you can see, yeah, so max is nothing but the maximum length. Here you can see the maximum length, like n is equal to 3. So the number of brackets can be 3 into 2. So maximum they can be 6. The size of the string should be 6. Maximum can be 6. So that's why we keep a track of that also. So we'll understand the recursion tree through the functions one by one. So you can see there's initially the output is O, let's consider, and then T is temp. So 1 comma 0 comma 3. So you can see number of opening brackets initially is 1 and the number of closing brackets is 0. So like this the decision tree goes on and on and on till the last point. The base condition is in which the number of the size of the string becomes equal to the size of the n value. So let's try writing the function right now. Let's create a string of lists. Yeah, so and our helper function let's write it. Our helper function doesn't return anything. You can see this is kind of template kind of thing. So in all kind of string manipulations and finding all the permutations and combinations of a string, we can use this kind of template. So our parameters are list itself, and then we have a string. So initially the string is empty. And then what do we have? We have the number of opening brackets. Initially the number of opening brackets is 0, and initially the number of closing brackets is 0. And then we have max, that is n. So we're going to pass these, and ending we're going to return the answer. So let's finish our let's try writing our helper function, recursive. It's not going to return anything. So it's going to have a and then we're going to have a number of opening and the number of close, and then we're going to have with max. So let's write our base condition first. If so our max can be 6, our max has to be 6. So max is nothing but n value. So our string so temp dot length, if a temp dot length is if the length of string is equal to max, like it's, so then we return the, then we add it to our this thing, we add string to our answer, and then we return. As you can see here it returns back in the last case, wherein the string 3 is the maximum. This thing 3 into 2 is how much? 6. So 3 brackets, 3 opening and 3 closing is, the length is going to be 6, and 6 is equal to 6. So we return back to our we return back the function, and then next we would write our basic code. So it's going to be such that we have to make sure that always the number of opening brackets are less than the max. So you can see the n value, so opening should be less than or equal to n. If the opening is less than the max values, so then we would run a recursion on this such that our answer is, it is, we would add this to our string. We would add a opening bracket, and then opening bracket would be open plus 1, and then closing bracket would be as it is, and then max would be as it is. It should be temp plus, we are going to concatenate a bracket to it, and if at all close is less than the max value, then our helper function would take the answer, and then we would do temp plus the closing bracket, and then open would be as it is, and then close plus 1, and we would have max. Let's test our code. I should be array list. Let's see where it's going wrong. Okay, so close should be less than open. So you can see the answer got accepted. Let's consider for one. So it got accepted. Let's submit the code. So it got submitted. It's accurate. So I hope you understand the thing. So thank you.